Elon Musk surprises Black Millionaire by requesting mysterious meeting and revealing secret. Elijah Carter's message hit Marcus Reed like a lightning bolt, short, urgente, and dripping with misterio. We need to meet. It's about your family. It can't wait. The sender? Not just any innovador. Elijah Carter, visionario, genius. The man who's rewriting the rules of technology as we know it. Rumors already swirled about Carter's latest breakthrough. Something tighter than anything on the market. But this? A secret link to Marcus? No chance Marcus ignored it. The meeting spot was as wild as the message. A sleek, hidden rooftop garden in downtown Chicago, glowing with the soft, cold light of LEDs and the city's restless pulse beneath. Elijah was already there when Marcus arrived. His eyes locked onto Marcus with a strange mix of calm and urgency. The air between them felt electrico, like a storm ready to crash down. Elijah started, voice low but heavy. Marcus, what I'm about to tell you, it's bigger than business. It's about who we really are. Our family's pasts entwined in ways no one expected. Marcus felt his heartbeat skip. His mind raced back to childhood stories, hushed warnings, old scars. But could all that pain be connected to Elijah's world too? As Elijah pulled out an old, faded photo, the edges torn, Marcus's breath caught. The faces in black and white looked haunting. Two young boys, almost twins, standing side by side, hands clenched like brothers, names scribbled faintly. Marcus's father, Elijah's grandfather. Tu men caught en un escándalo, nadie la permitió hablar. Un secreto familiar enterrado por décadas. Marcus tensió la garganta. ¿Quién quería salir esta verdad? ¿Por qué ahora? El subir no fue nada más de suerte. Luchas contra un sistema que lo trató de destruir. Este secreto puede toparlo todo. Su nombre, su imperio, hasta la esperanza que da a la comunidad. La presión no fue la cuestión del sempié. Y den, ¡ay se me extraía! Se quedó. El nombre se me quedó. El verdadero emperador. Sin todo aquello, pasarán por todo. Crom de los sofeles de la ciudad divertida. Un rival apareció. Lauta del poder osiásico. Lo veliban es entrenar a Marcus por meses. El temor ante las puertas, él potenciábala en su piel. Sus manos tremían. Quedaban siempre pegados entre el pasado y futuras guerras. Todo estaría tan temprano. Desterrible. Elijah's voice broke the tension. We can face this together, or it destroys us. Our family's ghosts are closer than either of us realized. We carry their sins and their scars. A sudden silence hung. Above, the city lights flickered. A siren wailed in the distance. Marcus swallowed hard. Could he keep fighting alone? Or was this the moment to unmask the truths, no matter the cost? The weight on his chest was crushing. But one thing was clear. This meeting was no ordinary deal. It was a collision of histories, raw wounds, and looming battles for power and justice. The future was uncertain, and the secrets they shared could either shatter their worlds or ignite something no one saw coming. What exactly happened in their family's past to link them so tightly? And how far are Marcus and Elijah willing to go when the stakes are not money or fame, but truth itself? The answers lay buried in the silence between them, waiting to explode. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Elijah leaned in, eyes locked on Marcus, the weight of what he had uncovered pulsing like a living thing. Marcus jolted, heart racing. Elijah's expression shifted. What the hell? Suddenly, chaos erupted. Shouts mingled with sirens as people scrambled through the garden, fleeing in panic. Marcus's instincts kicked in. He grabbed Elijah's arm, pulling him toward the rail. "We need to get out of here, now!" But as they turned, a figure emerged from the shadows. Damian Cross, a sadistic grin stretching across his face like a predator savoring its catch. "Didn't think I'd find you here, Marcus." His words dripped with malice. "Or you, Elijah, together at last. How quaint." Heart pounding, Marcus stepped in front of Elijah, fear swelling. "What do you want, Damian?" "The truth. Isn't that what you're after?" Damian's voice was low, mocking. "You think this meeting was some accidental twist of fate? I've been following your family's story for years. Your father's scandal, Elijah's grandfather's secrets, all tied together by one explosive connection." "Hurry!" Elijah shouted, panic lacing his voice, but Marcus was frozen. "What are you talking about?" Damian took a step closer, eyes glinting with wicked delight. "You're too naive, Marcus. You've spent so long fighting battles, blind to the real war. That picture you saw, it's only the tip of the iceberg. But tell me, did you ever wonder why your father fled? Or what your family did to mine?" Marcus's breath caught. 1,000 questions flooded his mind. "What do you mean?" Damian's smile widened, and with it came the weight of revelation. "Your father didn't just run away. He betrayed my grandfather. That photo you saw, it was taken right before the first blood was shed. Your family, they were responsible for a crime that tore us apart. And now, you're standing at the edge of the same cliff." The revelation hung in the air, thick with tension. A cold sweat broke out across Marcus's brow. He felt sick. Everything he built, all the dreams tied to his family's name, it could all fall down in a heartbeat. Just as the weight of the truth began to sink in, another scream pierced the chaos. Marcus turned, eyes widening in horror, as another figure emerged. Jessica, his younger sister, running towards them, tears streaming down her face. "Marcus, it's Dad! He's—" A second gunshot rang out. Marcus's heart sank. "No!" he shouted. But the word was drowned out by the roar of an engine revving just beyond the rooftop. In an instant, everything shifted. A black SUV screeched to a halt. Doors flung open. Armed men surged forward. Shadows converging on the rooftop like a dark wave. "Run!" Elijah yelled, but the words barely registered. Inside, Marcus's world crumbled. What had his father been hiding? What had he done to Elijah's family? And why was his sister here? Each question felt like a hammer, smashing apart the fragile understanding he thought he built. As the armed figures rushed closer, freezing fear gripped him. Nothing was clear anymore. The ties of blood, betrayal, and secrets began to unravel in front of him. And then, through the dark, a flicker of recognition dawned on Elijah's face, a look of sheer horror as he gasped, "No, it can't be!" Marcus felt his stomach drop. What more could there be? What did Elijah know that could change everything? The night was alive with danger, but the real threat loomed far closer than either of them ever imagined. The truth was an explosive force, ready to consume them all. The silence between them felt heavy, almost suffocating. Marcus's mind wrestled with the implications of Elijah's words. Just as he was about to respond, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He yanked it out, eyes darting to the screen. A news alert flashed. Massive explosion rocks downtown Chicago's financial district. His heart raced. What the? But before he could absorb it, the distant echo of sirens pierced through, mixing with the ground-shaking sound of chaos erupting just blocks away. Elijah's eyes widened. "Marcus, we—" But a loud, dull thud interrupted him. A shadow loomed over the rooftop, casting a dark chill. Marcus squinted, straining to understand. Above them, dark smoke spiraled up, blotting out the sky. Then came the screams. Elijah turned sharply, instinctively shielding Marcus as if to protect him from an unseen threat. "We need to go!" Marcus felt the cold sweat on his brow. This was a meeting about family secrets, not a disaster unfolding before them. "What the hell is happening?" But there was no answer. The world blurred. Everything felt surreal, like a nightmare where logic had lost its grip. He gripped the railing, the metal digging into his palms. Then came a sudden realization, a jolt that made his stomach twist. Elijah's expression wasn't just fear, it was recognition. They knew! They knew we were here! "What are you talking about?" "Marcus!" shouted amidst the chaos. "Who knew?" Before Elijah could reply, a distant figure emerged from the smoke, a silhouette against the flames licking the sides of nearby buildings. As it drew closer, Marcus froze. It was Damian Cross. The ruthless investor stood there, a twisted smile on his face, almost gleeful amidst the terror. How poetic, isn't it? The past catching up to you both, right here, right now. A chill ran down Marcus's spine. How did he know they were here? What game was he playing? "Get down!" Elijah shouted, suddenly grabbing Marcus's arm, pulling him behind a large potted plant. The explosion had already sent debris raining down around them. The rooftop felt like a battlefield. Damian's laughter echoed across the space, filled with dark satisfaction. "Your families thought they could bury their sins? Ha 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 ha! You're both merely pawns in a game much bigger than either of you!" "What do you mean?" Marcus gasped. But the answer hung heavy in the air, unspoken and terrifying. Suddenly, another explosion rocked the ground, sending Marcus staggering backward. He glanced at Elijah, their eyes meeting with an unspoken understanding of shared dread. The secrets were no longer just about their families' pasts. They were now tied to a present nightmare that was unraveling in the city around them. Damian stepped closer, his voice dripping with malice. "You think this is about money or fame? No, it's about power. And you two are about to learn what happens when truths collide, how deep the rabbit hole goes." A shout broke from the edge of the rooftop. "Evacuate!" We need to clear out. People were running now, some scrambling upstairs while others raced for the exits. Marcus felt the panic dusking the air, but his thoughts raced back. Was Elijah involved? Was this all part of a scheme? Before he could ponder further, Elijah's phone buzzed and he glanced at the screen, his expression morphing into a mask of horror. It's my father. He knows. Marcus's breath quickened. He knows what? But before Elijah could say anything, the rooftop door swung open and armed guards flooded in, eyes scanning, intent clear. Something twisted in Marcus's gut. The stakes had just multiplied. This wasn't just about families and old scars anymore. This was a war, and they were right in the middle of it. Without a second thought, Elijah grabbed Marcus's arm, pulling him toward a staircase. "Run! We need to get out before it's too late!" Every fiber of Marcus's being screamed to flee. But what awaited them below? And what terrible truths awaited to be uncovered? As they sprinted, the ground quaked beneath them, a foreshadowing of the chaos to come. His world was already spiraling, but it was only beginning. What had been hidden for so long was about to explode into the open, and nothing would ever be the same again. As they raced down the staircase, the chaos above thundering like a storm, Marcus felt fear gnawing at him. The air was thick with smoke and debris. His heart pounded, drowning out the sounds of sirens and shouting. He couldn't shake the feeling that their lives hung by a thread, ready to snap. "Elijah, what was your father talking about?" Marcus shouted, breathless. "What does he know?" "I don't know," Elijah gasped, fear flickering in his eyes. "But if he's involved, he could be the key to understanding all of this." Then, a sharp pain seared through Marcus's thoughts. Images of his father's face, shrouded in secrecy, the weight of old decisions creeping back. Why didn't he tell me? "Because he's been trying to protect us," Elijah yelled, urgency twisting his voice. "We have to get out before it's too late." They burst through the door to the street, the night lit by the glow of emergency lights. Panic washed over Marcus as he scanned the chaos, people sprinting, screaming, and a distant fire blazing like a beast unleashed. He grabbed Elijah's arm, pulling him toward a side street, desperate for refuge, but the ground shook again, knocking them off balance. Then came a voice, cutting through the din, a familiar one that chilled Marcus to the bone. "Stop right there!" Marcus froze, his breath hitching. Emerging from the darkness, a figure stepped forward, silhouetted against the chaos. It was his sister, Jessica, wide-eyed and trembling. Fear twisted her features, but it wasn't just fear. There was something else, something darker. "Jessica, what are you doing here?" Marcus ran to her, heart racing. She took a step back, backing away from him. "You don't understand, Marcus. You need to listen. It's not just about Dad." "What do you mean?" The panic rising inside him was almost unbearable. She swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "There's something I haven't told you. Something about our family. Our mother. She's not who you think she is." "What?" Marcus felt the ground shift beneath his feet. His mind raced with confusion, memories colliding. Everything he thought he knew was unraveling. Before he could press her, Elijah interjected, confusion written all over his face. "Jessica, what are you talking about?" She glanced at Elijah, a hesitant look passing between them, before turning back to Marcus. "I saw the file." "What Dad's been keeping from you?" Proof that your mother was involved in the scandal too. She had connections to Damien's family. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was a conspiracy. A cold chill washed over Marcus, making him stagger. No, this can't be possible. Dad was trying to protect you. Jessica's voice trembled, tears streaming down her cheeks. But it's bigger than all of us. They were in it together, your father and mine. Everything spun out of control. The accusations, the layers of betrayal, they swept over him like a tidal wave. His family wound tighter around him, suffocating. From behind, a loud explosion knocked Marcus off his feet. Glass shattered across the street like falling rain. People screamed, panic surging anew as chaos erupted once more. Instead of fear, fury ignited in Marcus. We have to find Dad. We need to know the truth, now! But just as he turned to grab Jessica's hand, a shadow loomed over them. Damien stood, a twisted grin illuminating his face once more. Oh, you poor children. Still don't get it, do you? Jessica's gasp echoed in the air. Your families, the secrets, they're all part of a larger game. One where I'm in control. And you're just pieces on my board! A shot rang out above the chaos. Marcus's heart stopped. No, he shouted. Everything slowed. Jessica fell to the ground, clutching her side, eyes wide with shock and pain. The world around him faded. His sister, hurt? No, it couldn't be. Jessica, no! As he rushed to her side, the revelation of their family's web of lies hung in the air like a noxious cloud, thick, choking. In that moment, Marcus felt a twist in the narrative he thought he understood. Nothing was as it seemed. Relationships crumbled, suspicions rose, and amid it all, a chilling question lingered. How far would they all go to protect their secrets? And who really could be trusted when the past reared its monstrous head? The silence stretched, heavy, the air thick with unspoken fears. Marcus's heart raced, nerves like live wires. He could almost feel Elijah's gaze digging deeper, igniting something old and raw within him. But then, a flash of movement caught the corner of his eye. Shadows flickered near the rooftop's edge. Before he could turn, the night exploded. A deafening crack rang out, and a shower of sparks illuminated the garden. The impact shook the ground beneath them. The shockwave knocked Marcus sideways, sending him crashing against the low walls surrounding the rooftop. Eyes wide, he gasped, struggling to breathe. The world melted into chaos. Marcus! Elijah's voice rose above the din, panic threading through each syllable. He rushed over, hands outstretched, but Marcus felt distant, lost in the fog of shock. The garden was now a war zone. A figure emerged from the smoke, holding something. A flash of metal glinted. A weapon. Marcus's heart sank deeper as he recognized the silhouette. It was Damien Cross, the predator who had stalked his hard-won empire like a vulture. Thought you could keep secrets from me? Damien sneered, stepping into the light, revealing a face twisted with glee that sent chills down Marcus's spine. This ends tonight. But then, as Damien aimed his weapon, everything shifted again. A figure rushed forward from the shadows, a woman, fierce and resolute. Marcus blinked in disbelief as she stepped into the light. her face illuminated by the chaos. It was Zara, his estranged sister, the one who had vanished years ago without a word. "Stop!" Zara shouted, voice steady against the whirlwind of chaos. "You can't do this, Damien. This isn't just about them anymore." Marcus felt his world pivot. Zara? Here? What was she doing with Damien? Anger ignited within him, a burning question that eclipsed his shock. Why had she come back now? Wasn't she the one who left him fighting battles alone? "Stay out of this, Zara," Damien warned, a venomous edge to his words. "You were never part of this game." "But you made it a game," she shot back, eyes blazing. "This is about lives, not just yours." The air crackled with tension, thick and suffocating. Marcus's dreams, his fight, it all felt like it was spiraling, suddenly too big for him to handle. ELON, the secret, the past, the future. It was collapsing into this moment. Elijah's face was a mask of confusion, a cocktail of disbelief and fear. "What are you doing here, Zara?" he breathed, as if trying to tether reality back to its stark limits. But she ignored him, eyes locked onto Damien. "Those pictures, they aren't what you think," she declared, voice rising and steady. "Our fathers had a reason for their silence, and it wasn't just shame. We owe it to them to find out the truth, not feed this madness." At that moment, Damien smirked, adjusting his grip on the weapon. "You're too late, Zara. The truth is already buried. You'll never find out why they were tied together." Marcus's chest tightened. The truth? What truth? Did Zara know something he didn't? He felt the room spin. Secrets he thought were only his began to unravel like threads. The stakes had risen higher than he could ever imagine. Then a gunshot rang out. Everything froze. A scream pierced the night. Elijah stumbled back, hand over his shoulder, eyes wide with shock. Blood blossomed against the soft colors of the rooftop. "No!" Marcus shouted, heart racing, panic flooding his veins. This was the moment when everything changed. What had they unleashed? Damien vanished into the shadows, laughter echoing down below. The weight of betrayal, pain, and grief slammed against Marcus, robbing him of breath, hope, everything. Zara knelt beside Elijah, her hands shaking. "Stay with me," she cried, but the night swallowed their cries. And in that moment, Marcus realized truths were unraveling, enemies were allies, and nothing would ever be the same. The fight was just beginning. Marcus's heart raced, the city lights swirling around him. But it was Elijah's gaze that held him captive. "Together," Elijah whispered, an offer heavy with unspoken fears. Just as Marcus opened his mouth to respond, a deafening crash echoed from below. The rooftop shook slightly, and for a split second, the world faded, replaced by a shocking stillness. Then a scream cut through the air, shattering the moment like glass. Gasps came from an unseen crowd below. Marcus's mind spun. He edged closer to the ledge, heart pounding, dread creeping up his spine. They leaned over, peering into the chaos unfolding on the street below. A black SUV lay crumpled and smoking, the aftermath of an accident. But it didn't feel like just that. A figure staggered from the wreck. A man dressed sharply, panic etched across his face. Damien Cross. Marcus recognized him instantly. Eyes wide, Damien looked like a hunted animal, glancing around as if the whole world was closing in. Marcus breathed, the name tasting bitter on his tongue. But it wasn't what Damien was doing that sent a chill through Marcus. It was the man who stepped into view beside him, one Marcus knew all too well. A man he thought he'd never see again. Their paths twisted in nightmare patterns, shadows of those childhood stories. John Carter, Elijah's long-lost father, the man rumored to have fallen from grace, the scandal that might unravel the lives standing before him. As Marcus's stomach dropped, Elijah's face morphed first to shock, then tight-lipped anger, before settling into a mask of numbness. "Why is he here?" Elijah hissed, eyes hardening, fingers clenching into fists. But their gaze was drawn back to the scene below. Damien's voice rose, frantic, urgent. "I didn't want you to find out this way. We didn't think he'd come back." Elijah's body tensed, breath kitching. That name, his father, wasn't just a ghost anymore. He was flesh and blood, standing on the precipice of their shared history. Marcus felt a darkness creep in. Could this be the truth that would sink them both? Marcus swallowed, memories flashing. His father, whispers about shame and betrayal echoing between those ominous family gatherings. "What did you do, Elijah?" The words spilled from his lips before he could stop them. The weight of the question hanging heavy in the air. "Nothing. I didn't know. He disappeared. I thought he was gone." Elijah's voice cracked, the confidence draining from him. Suddenly, Damien took a step closer, urgency replaced by a force that demanded attention. "Marcus, listen. There's so much more. Your family didn't just get caught in the scandal. They were involved." A sharp gasp from somewhere in the shadows, someone witnessing it all. Who else was there? This corner of the city felt like it pulsed with threat, and suddenly every flicker of light, every sound, deepened the tension. "Stop! Just stop!" Marcus shouted, voice rising on the tide of chaos. But in that moment, a siren blared, louder, cutting through them like a blade. It pulsed from every direction, and panic took hold of the crowd below. Elijah, terna a Marcus, desesperación en esos ojos, un apleto. "No podemos dejarles saber de la fotografía. Se nos acompaña Marcus. Si Damien sabe, lo usará. No podemos dejar la historia repetirse. Si ni siquiera sabes, el fotógrafo se podía acelerar violentamente." Fue el momento. El teléfono de Marcus volvió a sacarlo. El mensaje fue sordo. ¿Quién era este frente? Tapices empezaron a splintarse de la mano. 1000 preguntas bailando en el fin de la locura. ¿Quién me envió esto? But before he could catch Elijah's response, a sudden shout broke through. "Stay where you are." Police lights flickered below, sirens wailing, and as Marcus turned back to Elijah, every moment teetered on the brink of collapse. What was really happening? How deep did this scandal go? And would the truth free them or bury them alive? With the city swirling with confusion around them, they stood on the edge of their past, waiting for an answer that might rip them apart. Elijah's words hung in the air, electric with tension. Marcus squinted into Elijah's eyes, searching for answers. But before he could voice his fears, the rooftop door crashed open behind them. A figure burst in, breathless, wild-eyed, desperation etched on his face. "Marcus, you need to get out, now!" It was Terrence, Marcus's right-hand man. Panic radiated from him. a shockwave that cut through the charged atmosphere. "What the hell is going on?" Marcus demanded, heart racing. "Damien Cross is here. He's got intel on everything," Terrence said, glancing around as if the shadows were alive. I think he knows about the photo." The floor felt unsteady under Marcus's feet. It twisted into knots. How could Damien know? The meeting, the hidden past, it was all still a secret. But as he looked at Elijah, he saw the same dread reflected in his eyes. "Let's get out," Elijah said, his voice even. "We can't let him corner us here." But before they could move, the rooftop door flung wide again. Damien stood there, a twisted grin stretching across his face, framed by the city lights behind him. He had the air of a predator. Well, well, well. What do we have here? A family reunion?" His voice dripped with mockery, sending chills down Marcus's spine. "Damien, this doesn't concern you," Marcus said, trying to keep his voice steady. The lump in his throat was growing heavier, threatening to choke him. "Oh, but it does. You see, I've been doing some digging." Damien waved a stack of papers, glimmering with malice, "and what I found is fascinating. It seems your families have a history, one that will blow your precious empire apart." In that moment, everything shifted. Marcus felt the weight of secrets crush him. "What are you saying?" His chest tightened, breathless. "Let's just say," Damien stepped closer, reveling in their fear, "your father didn't just fight the system, he betrayed it. And Elijah's grandfather, he was on the opposite side, doing whatever it took to take him down. They were rivals, and the scandal? It was a bloodbath." Elijah's face turned pale. "That's not true. Our families—" "Don't deny it," Damien sneered. "Your names are forever linked. Imagine the headlines. A black millionaire brought down by betrayal from his own blood." Suddenly, Marcus felt as if the ground beneath him had shattered. This wasn't just business anymore. This was personal. This was their identity at stake. Heart racing, he turned to Elijah, searching for some clue, some sign that this was a twisted game. But all he saw was shock, fear, and confusion mirroring his own. And then, as if the world was collapsing around them, there was a loud bang. In an instant, a burst of smoke filled the rooftop. The bright city lights swallowed by a thick fog. Marcus stumbled back, coughing, but the chaos blurred his thoughts. Was this an attack? A distraction? Elijah pulled him close, urgency etched on his features. "We can't let him win. We need to escape. Do you trust me?" Marcus shouted, barely hearing his own voice through the chaos. "Show me you're still Marcus Reed," Elijah yelled back, determination igniting in his eyes. In that moment, everything inverted. ... There was potential in the upheaval, a chance to not just fight or flee, but to reclaim their story, their truth. But first, they had to survive. And as they sprinted toward the doorway to find a future laced with shadows, they both realized the stakes had become far higher than they imagined. What lay ahead was unknown, wrapped in fog and echoes of their pasts, far more than either had bargained for. Who could they trust? What was real? And how far back did the betrayal run? The answers, tangled like roots underground, promised to unravel everything. Elijah and Marcus raced down the staircase, each step echoing the urgency of their hearts. The pounding in Marcus's chest matched the chaos pouring out into the night. Smoke curled around them, mixing with the burning adrenaline. They had to move. They had to find a way out. "Where do we go?" Elijah shouted, struggling to keep pace with Marcus. "I don't know," Marcus gasped, scanning the chaotic scene outside. People ran in every direction, fear gripping their faces. "Just keep moving!" They burst into the street, and Marcus spotted Terence, desperately waving them over. He ushered them into an alley, his face pale with panic. "This way! We need to find a safe place!" As they ducked behind a dumpster, Marcus kept glancing back. The chaos felt like shadows converging around them, threatening to swallow them whole. What was Damien doing? What else did he know? But before they could catch their breath, Terence's phone buzzed violently. He pulled it from his pocket, eyes widening in horror. "No, it can't be." "What is it?" Marcus asked, dread pooling in his stomach. Terence's hands trembled. "There's been an explosion downtown, near your father's old office. Multiple casualties." Marcus felt the ground shift under him. The very foundation of his world teetered. His father's legacy was now an inferno. "We have to go!" he yelled, gut instinct screaming at him. He could be in danger. In the flurry of their movement, Elijah's gaze darted around. "Marcus, wait! What about?" But before he could finish, a sudden crack cut through the air. A flash exploded just above them, sending shards of glass raining down like deadly confetti. "Get down!" Elijah shouted, throwing himself over Marcus. They hit the ground hard. A shockwave reverberated around them, radiating pure terror. As smoke enveloped them, something shoved Marcus in the back. A figure, wild and panicked. Marcus turned to see Jessica, his sister, her face streaked with dirt and tears. "What are you doing here?" he managed to choke out. "They're coming! They know!" Jessica cried, panting. "It's worse than I thought!" "Worse?" Marcus asked, battling against the rising panic within him. Then, in a shocking instant, a commotion erupted from the entrance of the alley. A crowd gathered, eyes wide with horror. They were backing away from something, someone. That's when he saw it. A man emerged from the tumbling smoke, face obscured, but there was something hauntingly familiar about his silhouette. "Stop right there!" Marcus shouted. The figure turned, and as the smoke cleared, so did the truth, revealing John Carter, Elijah's father. But he was different. His eyes were wide with fear, and blood dripped from a wound on his forehead. "Look out!" he screamed, pointing behind him. Before Marcus could comprehend, Damien appeared again. But this time, he was flanked by armed men. "You think you can hide?" Damien shouted, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "Time to end this!" Marcus felt fury boil within him. "What do you want with us?" Damien's gaze danced with something darker. "Everything you hold dear, your family's sins, this is just the beginning." And just then, a gunshot rang out, echoing through the alleyway. Marcus's heart stopped. He turned to see Jessica fall, clutching her side. The world spun. Time stretched into a cruel mockery of slow motion. "No, Jessica!" His voice tore through the air, raw and desperate. Elijah gasped, his eyes wide. "Get her out of here!" But Marcus was frozen, his world shattering around him. Jessica's breathing labored as she lay there, eyes wide with shock. In that horrific moment, everything shifted. The weight of betrayal crashed down like a thunderbolt. Behind the chaos, John took a step forward, voice heavy with remorse. I tried to stop it. I had to protect you. Protect us? Marcus yelled, rage boiling over. By lying? Then, as if the very ground had betrayed him, a horrifying truth emerged. You knew this all along. Everything. It's all been a lie. John's eyes flickered, haunted and regretful. But it was the moment when Jessica looked up, her voice barely a whisper, that crushed Marcus entirely. It's not what you think, Mark. I have to tell you. And as the confusion raced into dread, everything turned black. The gunfire faded to silence, leaving only Marcus's racing heart echoing in the emptiness. What truth lay buried beneath the surface, waiting to explode? He felt a void open within him. Nothing would ever be the same. Marcus sank to his knees, his world tilting dangerously on the edge of chaos. Jessica's face, pale and streaked with tears, haunted him, her breath shallow. The adrenaline coursed through him like fire, but in this moment, all he could feel was an icy grip of dread tightening around his chest. No, no, he whispered, heart racing. Elijah, check on her, he shouted, the urgency clawing at his throat. Elijah knelt beside Jessica, hands trembling, and Marcus felt the weight of their shared histories pressing down harder now. He couldn't breathe. It was suffocating. But then, everything came crashing down. A low voice, smooth and derisive, cut through the air like a jagged blade. You really thought you could outrun the past? Damien stood there, a looming figure against the alley's shadows, his smile twisted with victory. This is all just a game to you, isn't it? Shut up, Marcus barked, rising to his feet, a surge of anger breaking through the panic. Your families are intertwined, Marcus. You're just too blind to see it. Damien laughed, his eyes flashing with malicious delight. From behind Damien, something moved. A flash of light caught Marcus's eye. Behind the chaos and the smoke, another figure stepped forward, a woman, shrouded in darkness, yet somehow familiar. Damien, she shouted, voice striking like lightning. As she stepped into the dim light, recognition washed over Marcus like a wave. It was her, his mother. But she was different, so much older, yet there was an unmistakable spark in her eyes. Mom? He breathed, disbelief flooding through him. The world below him shifted. Marcus, I never wanted you to find out this way, she said, her voice laced with an emotion that twisted in his heart. I had to keep you safe. Safe? By lying to me? By keeping secrets? She stepped closer, her hand reaching out, desperate. Listen to me. There are things I never told you. About your father. About us. But the words trailed off as Damien interjected. You think you can protect them? You can't hide the truth forever. With a single motion, he raised a gun, pointing it directly at Marcus's mother. Time stopped. The air thickened with fear. No! Marcus screamed, adrenaline pushing him forward. But before he could react, Damien squeezed the trigger. The gunshot rang out, piercing through the chaos, time expanding and contracting in a brutal instant. Marcus felt a jolt, his heart clawing its way into his throat. His mother's eyes widened in shock, but the dart of pain struck like an arrow to Marcus's soul. She staggered back. A gasp escaped her lips, and everything froze, the horror hanging in the air like smoke. "Mom!" he shouted, rushing toward her. But it was like moving through molasses. Each step felt futile, as if the universe conspired against him. In that moment, the world distorted. He caught sight of Jessica, her face pale and terrified, and behind her, he could see Elijah retreating, his expression one of horror and disbelief. As he reached his mother, he saw her collapsing, her eyes dimming, but not before she whispered, "Marcus, finish what your father started." The shock exploded in his mind, unraveling everything. The pieces of the puzzle clicked together violently. A crime? Betrayal? What on earth had she meant? "Mom! No!" And as he cradled her in his arms, a chilling truth washed over him. The family legacy, the sins buried deep, it was bigger than either of them had ever imagined. The darkness was not just an enemy, it was a legacy, a history woven into his very being. Marcus looked up at Damien, rage boiling in his blood. "You monster!" Damien only grinned wider. "Now it begins. The truth has a way of rising." But just as Marcus was about to retaliate, another figure emerged from the shadows. "Zara! Stop!" she shouted, a gun in her hand, aimed at Damien. "Let him go!" The atmosphere crackled with tension, a precarious balance that could snap with the slightest spark. But the statement hung heavy. It felt monumental, altering the narrative, shifting alliances. Who was trying to save whom? The question clawed at Marcus, and from where he stood, it felt like the ground beneath them was ready to collapse. What did his mother mean? Why did Zara have a weapon? From the chaos, a chilling realization formed. A web of deceit, spun tighter, each strand laced with betrayal. Just as Marcus stepped closer to Zara, hoping for answers, the alley erupted into chaos once again. And the coming storm threatened to reshape everything they thought they knew. What lay ahead was uncertain, tinged with desperation and dread, leaving them all on the precipice of a deeper darkness than they ever dared to imagine. Marcus stood over his mother, the world around him spiraling into chaos. The gunshot echoed in his ears, a haunting reminder of everything that had led them. He shouted, his voice cracking, tears blurring his vision. But the light in her eyes dimmed, her grip weakening. "Mom, you have to tell me everything." She struggled to speak. "This isn't over, Marcus." Then her eyes closed, and her chest fell still. The weight of loss crashed down, wrapping around him like a dark fog. Everything felt hollow. His family, his world, it unraveled beneath him. "No!" he screamed, anguish ripping through him. Damien stepped forward, his amusement turning into cold satisfaction. How poetic. "Look at you, reaping the consequences of your family's legacy." "Shut up!" Elijah shouted, his face twisted with fury. He stepped in front of Marcus, eyes blazing. "You don't get to gloat. This is your fault." But just as Damien opened his mouth to respond, Zara aimed her gun at him. "Get away from them." Her voice was steady, fierce as ever. "You're not going to hurt anyone else." Marcus's heart thundered in his chest. The sight of Zara, fierce and determined, sparked a small flicker of hope amid the despair. "Please, just let us go," he begged. Damien sneered. "You think you can just escape this? Your families are forever tethered, and the truth will always find a way out." Outside, the sound of sirens got louder, drawing closer, but the tension felt razor thin. "We can't stay here," Marcus shouted to Elijah and Zara. They nodded, understanding the urgency. Marcus took one last look at his mother, resolve hardening in his chest. There was nothing left for him here but shadows of the past. "Let's go!" They sprinted toward the alley's exit, each pounding heartbeat, a drumbeat of defiance against the chaos. The sound of approaching police sirens echoed, pushing them faster. As they reached the street, Marcus felt a rush of cold air hit him. The night looked different, familiar yet foreign. They were free, but at what cost? They ducked into a nearby cafe, breathless and shaken. Outside, the world continued to spiral into chaos, but inside, something felt like it began to quiet. They found a booth in the corner, huddling together. "No more lies," Elijah said, voice firm but trembling. "We need to uncover the truth for our parents and for Jessica." Tears filled Marcus's eyes, but he nodded. "We owe it to them. We can't let their mistakes define us." Zara looked at him, determination igniting in her gaze. "Then we figure this out together. No more secrets." Elijah placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder, grounding him. "We'll dig deep. We'll find the answers and bring it all into the light." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed outside the cafe. They turned toward the window, just as a figure stumbled into view. It was Damien, looking disheveled and desperate, surrounded by police. "Marcus!" he yelled. Hands up, panic etched on his face. "You have to listen!" Adrenalina surge through Marcus. The nightmare wasn't over. It was only just beginning. As they exchanged looks of shock, anticipation crackled in the air. What new secrets lay ahead? This was far from over. Don't just sit there. You have to subscribe now if you want to know what happens next. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button. It feeds the algorithm and gets our stories seen. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And for the love of everything, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Don't wait even a second longer to make your voice heard. Your support means everything.